Ah, Christmas, that extra special time of year bursting full of holiday cheer, celebrated with all the classic trimmings, a big, bright, beautiful tree, presents galore, jolly old Saint Nick, and
Merry Christmas!
KFC?
パーティーバーレル早割予約受付中クリスマスケンタッキーにしない
Okay, so maybe fried chicken isn't exactly a staple of your traditional holiday feast, but in Japan, it's more likely than you'd think. Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome back to Tim Explains Japan. At first glance, Christmas in Japan seems just like anywhere else. Santa Claus, festive lighting, rampant consumerism. But upon closer inspection, some unfamiliar players begin to emerge. Christmas cake? Romantic gestures? Fried chicken? In this special holiday episode, we take a closer look at some uniquely Japanese Christmas traditions, how they came to be, and how Colonel Sanders came to be synonymous with the season. Let's get started. Christmas in Japan. Where to begin? Well, we could start at the very beginning with Francis Xavier bringing Christianity to Japan in 1549, but that didn't exactly end so well. So instead, let's jump ahead to the Meiji era. Around the turn of the 20th century, Japan's primary focus shifted to rapid modernization, which in many ways meant westernization. Open borders led to an influx of new ideas, architecture, and culture. Among them, Christianity. A women's magazine titled Jogaku Zashi published an article in December 1884, introducing the concept of Christmas to its readers. December 25th is called Christmas, and in countries where flowers bloom, it is a time to celebrate, much like New Year's Day. Since our country is gradually adopting Western customs, there are quite a few homes that have been holding this ceremony for some time. Even though Christianity never really caught on, by the Taisho era, Christmas had already established itself as a beloved, albeit secular, family holiday, complete with gift-giving Santa and all. And it seems, from the beginning, that some form of poultry and cake was commonplace in the celebration. Women's magazines published annual Christmas issues, sharing recipes, decorations, and holiday ideas. A December 1915 article from Fujin no Tomo featured an American woman named Mrs. Drever, describing a full 6-course Christmas dinner, the star being a roast turkey, stuffed in the belly and steamed whole. Though in Japan, turkey was harder to come by, so notably, chicken was suggested as an alternative. In December 1926, another article featured a recipe for an elegant Christmas dish called Chicken Orleans. Baked chicken stuffed with bread, boiled eggs, and chestnuts, topped with a gravy made from the drippings, garnished with watercress. The meal was rounded out with Western wine and English-style pudding served with custard sauce for dessert. Jumping ahead to the end of World War II, Christmas was still widely celebrated, even in desperate times. The December 1946 issue of Shufu no Tomo describes how to make a festive treat from scraps in a war-torn Japan, combining rationed flour, onions, and carrots into a vegetable cake decorated with mashed sweet potato cream. The 1948 holiday issue explains the process of transforming a home-raised chicken into a full Christmas dinner, ensuring not a single morsel went to waste. As the mid-50s rolled around, a post-war Japan began rapidly expanding its economy, and suddenly, lavish Christmas celebration was back on the menu. Department stores held big sales, large Christmas cakes became commonplace, and Christmas Eve saw cabarets and restaurants full of dancing and merriment. In 1955, roughly 300,000 Christmas trees were purchased. That number leaped to 544,000 in just the next year. The peak of Japan's economic bubble ballooned in the 1980s, and with it, the extravagance of the holiday season. The Christmas party market soared to 3 billion yen, the cake market to 15 billion, and the gift market, a whopping 150 billion yen. Suddenly, a new market had emerged: Christmas dating. Hotshot businessmen would take their girlfriends out for an extra special Christmas date at high-end restaurants and hotels. Expected gifts included things like the Tiffany open heart necklace or the Cartier Trinity ring. The cost for a truly romantic Christmas Eve usually clocking in at over 100,000 yen. This extravagant level of spending wouldn't last forever, though. And so now you're probably wondering, how exactly does KFC fit into all of this? Well, to answer that question, we need to once again turn back the clock a bit, this time to the year 1970. As I mentioned before, Japan was in the midst of an economic boom, fueled by American occupation and post-war consumerism. Between 1970 and 1980, Japan's fast food industry exploded over 600%, introducing now beloved chains such as Baskin-Robbins, Mr. Donut, the original Pancake House, and of course, KFC. It all starts with this man, Takeshi Okawara. In November 1970, Okawara opened Japan's very first KFC in Nagoya, hoping the region famous for chicken would inspire sales success. In actuality, the first KFC was largely a failure, perhaps due to its unfamiliar flavor profile or arriving just a bit too early. Sales were poor. This, however, did not mean the end of KFC Japan. The failure prompted Harvard-educated Okawara to head stateside and meet up with Colonel Sanders himself. Pete Harmon, KFC's first franchisee and Colonel Sanders' #1 business partner, invited Okawara to his home farm in San Francisco. While there, Okawara brushed horses, bathed dogs, learned business strategy, and studied the art of chicken frying from the Colonel himself. Armed with newfound retail knowledge and a deeper understanding of chicken, Okawara returned to Japan, bargained with partner company Mitsubishi, and stabilized the domestic market for a fragile young Japanese KFC. He would later go on to become KFC Japan's president and CEO, and eventually chairman. And now we once again arrive at Christmas. To understand how KFC became synonymous with the season, we need to first separate fact from fiction. There are two separate versions of the story, and there appears to be some amalgam of myth and truth to both. Myth A, the quote, official story. The first origin story comes by way of the official KFC website. In the early 1970s, a foreign expat visited a KFC branch in Tokyo on Christmas Day. The homesick traveler lamented their inability to acquire a traditional Christmas meal in Japan and remarked, "I can't get turkey in Japan, so I have no choice but to celebrate with Kentucky Fried Chicken." Some unnamed yet legendary KFC team member overheard this and, like any good capitalist, used this Westerner's grievance as inspiration to launch KFC's very first Christmas campaign, with accompanying tagline, "Christmasu ni wa Kentucky," or in English, "Kentucky for Christmas." Myth B, the nun. The second story is shrouded in folklore, but I find it much more compelling. Once again, it all goes back to Okawara. According to the man himself, this legend originates in the early days of his first store in Nagoya. As the holiday season rolled around, Okawara was approached by a nun from a nearby Christian school. She was interested in purchasing KFC for a kindergarten Christmas party, but with one special request. Could a KFC employee come dressed as Santa to inspire the children with holiday spirit? Emboldened by low sales figures, Okawara not only agreed, but he himself donned the signature red suit and delivered festive Christmas chicken to all the good little boys and girls. Everyone had such a fantastic time that word of mouth spread and more people hired Kentucky Fried Santa for an extra special holiday party. These locally famous celebrations piqued the interest of a national Japanese TV network, prompting them to interview Okawara. During the interview, he was asked if fried chicken was a typical meal enjoyed at Western-style Christmas dinners. Despite knowing the truth, that turkey was the preferred poultry, he reached into his sack of tricks and pulled out a little white lie. Okawara informed Japan on national television that yes, indeed, fried chicken is a traditional staple of a classic Christmas feast. So, which story is the truth? Well, I can't say for sure, and perhaps nobody really can, but there does seem to be some elements of fact in both tales. And the indisputable truth is what followed.
Kentucky Christmas! Chicken Christmas! Kentucky Christmas! Chicken Christmas! Kentucky Christmas!
In the holiday season of 1974, KFC Japan launched its first Christmas campaign with the aforementioned slogan, Kurisumasu ni wa Kentucky. They launched a variety of ad campaigns featuring KFC as the can't-miss centerpiece for your perfect Christmas feast.
Kentucky de Christmas! Kentucky Fried Chicken!
Alongside this new holiday marketing push, they introduced some special Christmas bundles, like a bucket of chicken with a bottle of wine, suggesting that adults too could celebrate the Christmas season. But it wasn't until 1985 that the true KFC Christmas paradigm shift began, with the introduction of the Party Barrel.
今年のパーティーバーレルはチキンにサラダにパーティーセットトッピングも楽しいおしゃれなブーツのアイスクリームとてもイブまで待てないねパーティーバーレルケンタッキーフライドチキンです
A specially crafted holiday feast featuring their signature fried chicken, a side, and a special Christmas cake, all packaged in a convenient, festive-themed cylinder. The cleverly designed container was partitioned by temperature. Since heat rises, cold foods were placed on the bottom, with chicken and warm sides stacked on top. Taking advantage of the Japanese obsession with limited-time goods, accompanying the barrel was a festive, Christmas-themed plate with a special design that changes every year. Now, remember earlier how we talked about Japan's economic boom and the romantic Christmas dinners of the 80s? Well, unfortunately, as with all good things, the boom went bust. By 1990, the economic bubble had burst, marking the beginning of Japan's lost decades, characterized by sluggish economic growth and a notably shrinking economy. However, this proved to be the perfect timing for KFC. Just as the country was beginning to familiarize itself with KFC's festive party barrels, expensive outings and ostentatious celebrations became less reasonable. Instead, most began to opt for simpler, smaller, friend and family-centric get-togethers, much like the old days, except with one modern twist. That's right.
Kentucky Christmas! Chicken Christmas! Kentucky Fried Chicken!
Call it fate, call it genius marketing, call it the inevitable machinations of an intrinsically capitalist society. Whatever you call it, KFC had made its Christmas mark and was now here to stay. These days, millions of households celebrate with Kentucky Fried Chicken every year as a true holiday tradition. In 2018, Christmas sales raked in an astonishing 6.1 billion yen for KFC, and in 2019, the figure jumped to 7.1 billion. An estimated 3.6 million families enjoy KFC for Christmas dinner every year. Many franchises see over 10 times their regular sales during the holiday season. KFC's modern Christmas offerings come in a variety of form factors and add-ons. with franchises taking reservations that often sell out months in advance. They still come with a festively decorated barrel, a limited edition plate, and a Christmas cake. If you're quick enough, you can even put down a deposit for a premium roast chicken, perhaps hearkening to the early days of Christmas in Japan. And for many, Christmas romance is still widely celebrated, acting as a snuggly winter holiday to cozy up to that special someone. The phenomenon of fried chicken and cake for Christmas has become so embedded in Japanese culture that many competitors have begun to sell their own bundles. Rival fast food chains like McDonald's and Mosburger, as well as most major convenience stores. But when in Japan, nothing truly says Christmas like a nice hearty barrel of KFC.
パーティーバーレル早割予約受付中クリスマスケンタッキーにしない
And there you have it. Probably more information about Japan's Christmas time celebrations than you ever really cared to know, and yet, now you know it. Foreign and unfamiliar traditions that seem strange at first begin to make a lot more sense when we uncover the history behind them. In an increasingly globalized world, I think it's important that we all strive to better understand and respect one another's cultures and traditions. When it really comes down to it, Christmas time in Japan is about spending quality time with loved ones, much like anywhere else in the world. Perhaps our traditions aren't so different after all. I'm Tim, and these are my thoughts. What are holiday celebrations like in your home? I'd love to know, so drop a comment down below. And for more Tim thoughts like these, come on by the channel, check out my Instagram, and drop by the Discord. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out the next episode of Tim Explains Japan for more scrumptious knowledge from the land of the rising sun. I'll catch you in the next one.